Isn't he just so cute? Hey folks, it's Mary, aka MercyTriumphs, and this is my channel, Slow Crochet. This is episode 036, and today I want to talk about a book that I picked up from the library, not knowing that the author of this book had recently released a second, kind of in the series, around the same vein, and that there are multiple people reviewing this second book already. I was already planning on doing this video when I saw Cassandra over at Craftably Ever After showing off one of the projects she created from the book Impkins by the same author. I will link Cassandra's video in the description below. Now, it's not uncommon for me to just look for the term crochet on my library's website and see if there's any new books that have arrived. In fact, at the filming of this video, I have about 13 crochet books on hold right now. I'll go pick them up pretty soon. But this one caught my attention, not because it was something that I was drawn to in terms of making for myself, but I thought it was so beautiful and it appealed to my sense of whimsy and wonder. The book is Crochet Creatures of Myth and Legend by Megan Lapp. This book is beautiful, and I am sure that I am late to the party in even talking about it, but I was so inspired looking through this book that I decided I needed to choose at least one project to make. Now, I am not an amigurumi person. I say that and then I think, okay, most of my works in progress videos feature at least one amigurumi thing to some degree, but really that's not what makes my heart come alive. I love wearables. I love household goods. When I'm thinking about making amigurumi, as I'm aiming towards the Christmas season, I'm thinking, okay, these are things that can go into stockings. These are little things that we can enjoy as a family or might be in the Christmas tree. I haven't really gotten off of the Christmas kick. I was thinking of my husband with this book in general because he is a total nerd. Actually, I'm a nerd too. One of the first ways that we connected was over J.R.R. Tolkien. So there you go. Cat's out of the bag if you hadn't figured it out by now, if the Chewbacca didn't give it away. But I was thinking he would enjoy the types of things in this book, and I thought maybe I could find something in here to make for him specifically. Not Chewbacca. If you've seen some of my very early videos, you've heard the story of Chewbacca, which was supposed to be for my husband. He's just kind of hung on here. The creature that I decided to do from this book is the Hippogriff. According to Megan Lapp, the Hippogriff is a rare creature that's the offspring of a griffin and a mare. So it has a head, claws, and talons and wings of an eagle, but the body and the rear legs of a horse. So that is what I created. Here is the picture. And this book does not just have one straight pattern, but instead, when you look into it, it has various different pieces to put together, and there's a whole big list of those pieces and how to create them all later on in the book. There are a lot of different creatures here with a lot of different details, and it's quite easy to mix and match. So with that in mind, I didn't create the Hippogriff exactly as pictured in the book. This is how he came out. So you can see I definitely took inspiration from more the bald eagle with the coloration. And I used what I had on hand. This is all worsted weight yarn, but not all worsted weights are created the same. I did use a size F hook, which is a 5 or a 3.75 millimeter hook throughout the creation of this Hippogriff. And that is a size smaller than what Megan Lapp recommended in the book. I did some things differently. Number one, I didn't like the tail. Sorry, I didn't like the tail that was attached to the Hippogriff. It was a lot of spirally kind of curly cues, and I just didn't feel like that worked for me. Instead, I chose the tail that was supposed to be assigned to the phoenix. This still kind of feels like a horse's tail. The other thing that I did was I left off the claws. Now, I did make the claws. I just felt like when I was trying to attach them, they just didn't, they just didn't look right. They were kind of taking away more so than allowing the focus to be on that bright yellow and then the colors out behind. To keep the wings upright, I used some 30 gauge wire. This is a spool that we've had for I don't even know how long. I have no idea where it came from. It's just that kind of, you have some wire in your craft supplies. So that's what I used to keep the wings nice and tall. Now the wings I did sew them on crooked. I don't really care. I also sewed the head on a little crooked, and I don't really care. He's got personality. In order to keep his head up, I clipped off part of a bamboo skewer and I stuck it in there because since I didn't use one particular type of yarn, I used a whole bunch of different random scraps. The head ended up quite a bit heavier and I wanted to make sure it would stay as it is. It can be a little tippy, doesn't always stay up straight, but I love how he turned out. Now he's not a surprise for my husband this year, but that's okay. We love how he's looking. So thoughts on this book. Cassandra mentioned this in her video on the Impkins book, but I don't believe that this book would be a good one for beginners. I still consider myself relatively new to Amigurumi, so for me, it was a little bit challenging. Cassandra also mentioned that when she was creating her creature for her Impkins book, she did not follow the pattern's directions to chain up one when you're creating rounds, but instead she did continuous rounds, almost the spiral, which is something that the pattern called for in the head, but not in the other body parts. So I did find that I was creating these seams as I was creating the body parts, and they felt a little distracting and a little disjointed. Now, some of them did get hidden in the wings, which is fine, but I wonder if I had been able to do it in the round, that I might have enjoyed the experience a little bit more. One thing that also surprised me was that there were not separate patterns for the right and left legs. I had to do some creative finagling to get these legs to splay out a little bit differently and to have a difference between the right and the left. Because when I was creating them, and maybe it was me, maybe it wasn't the pattern, maybe it's just my inexperience, but it seemed that I almost had like two of the same legs, whereas in real life, your legs are going to be slightly different. They'll be mirror images of each other. Those were just some of my thoughts. Would I use this book to make another creature? Maybe I would. There's a few others that are really cute. There's a gargoyle in there that I really liked. There is a jackalope that I thought would be really funny on our Christmas tree with all of our different critters that are hiding from the owl. But as for right now, I'm going to let this be. I think I'll take this book back to the library and let other people enjoy it. It is a beautiful book, very inspiring. Does take a lot of time. There's a lot of sewing involved, but I think the effect is worth it. So let me know in the comments below. Are you a fan of Amigurumi? Are you a fan of Megan Lapp? Have you heard of this book or of her newer one about Impkins? Links to where you can purchase these, not affiliated links, will be in the description below. If you're new here, all of that standard YouTube stuff, liking, sharing, all that, super encouraging, not necessary. I'm just glad that you're hanging out with me. If I'm not your cup of tea, thank you so much for listening this long. I do appreciate it, and I do hope I'll see you again. Bye.